I see the countdown. So
Man, you know the way this work, Clutch, man.
so do I get to use any of my features?
You ain't got no features on, like, it won't come through on mine, will it?
I think so. You heard it?
Man, first of all, sir, no. Man, so once again, what is that coming through on your end?
What?
Is that coming through Riverside on your end, or is it coming through like, what platform are you using to run that through?
No, it's just I have the Rodecaster hooked up to my computer. So anything I do is gonna come through Riverside.
Hey, man, don't be having all that stuff. I mean, anytime, so you got clues, bombs, or you could drop a bomb?
No.
Man, see,
I
look
haven't
at
put
that.
I haven't put it on here.
Hey, man, that's the one you need for you right there. That's the one I want for you right there. Every time you say something, wah, wah, wah. Man, can we officially begin, man? You come
Yeah,
right
man,
here,
it's
come.
on you.
Welcome to Beyond the Velvet Rope with Neil Oates Jr., the podcast that takes you on an extraordinary journey into the world of luxury service. Join us as we unlock the secrets, stories, and strategies behind exceptional experiences. From anticipating VIP needs to crafting unforgettable memories, we'll guide you on a path to service excellence in the realm of the affluent. Let's elevate your expertise and redefine the art of world-renowned service. Here's your host, Neil Oates Jr.
Man.
Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with a man who needs no introduction because no one really cares who he is. We are here with Mr. Marcus J. Scott. Clutch, what's going on, baby?
Man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. Look, you got the live audience for a brother and everything, man. I really do appreciate you. I'm excited to be here.
Clutch, don't start. Don't do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Marcus J. Scott. We have no idea what we're talking about, but we've got a lot to talk about. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right.
You know how we get down.
All right. So first, to answer everyone's questions, no, the podcast is not coming back. I know you're like, oh, does this mean that the eavesdrop is coming back? No, it is not coming back. Clutch is too busy. He's got too much stuff for the podcast. He is elevated now as the author of The Drunken Preacher. He's got tour dates. He's got classes. We've got some more responsibilities that we're going to talk about here in a moment. What's been going on, man, since the last time, not since the last time we've chatted, but what's been going on in your life lately, sir?
Well, seems like you just named quite a bit of it, but let me say this: the most humbling thing, and at the same time, probably the most gratifying, is God has saw fit to allow me to serve as executive pastor at our church. And so I don't take that lightly. And that's probably
Man,
one of
hold
the
on, Clutch. You talk about all the sound effects that you got on the Rodecaster, and you say that, and you ain't ready to push the button on that one. Man,
man, you know,
who's the
yeah, man, executive pastor. You know, it's one of those things when I tell people, you know, they're like, congratulations. And I say, well, I don't know whether to say thank you or pray for me. Because, you know, that's something I don't take lightly. And, you know, when we talking about matters of God and spiritual matters, you know, I've always been the one that said, you know, I'm going to be either in or I'm out. Like, I'm not going to be half in, half out. And so when you're talking about shepherding people, overseeing people, and because I look at it as, you know, you really are looking at people's lives. And so I heard a preacher say this morning. He said, um, if I preach the gospel and you don't accept it, then that's not on me. That's on you. But if I don't preach the gospel and you didn't hear it because I didn't preach it, now that's on me. And I'll take it a step further. If I didn't preach it the way God wanted me to, if I didn't do it the way God wanted me to, if I didn't shepherd or move forward the way God, you know, wanted me to, that's somebody that potentially may not make it because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So
Now,
I want to
hold
make
on,
sure.
Clutch. I want to, so Reverend Clutch, Executive Pastor Clutch, I just want to go on the record. Ladies and gentlemen, we are recording this on a Thursday, and you all heard Clutch say, he heard a preacher say that this morning, which means that he is not only getting the word on Sundays, not only on Wednesday nights, right? So this is going beyond the main church service, is going beyond Bible study. He's at choir rehearsal. He at the building fund club. He's over the usher meeting, the deacon and the deaconess board. So you're actually getting filled up. But here on Beyond the Velvet Rope, we talk about where ambition meets practicality. You talk about being executive pastor, right? And so we hear executive and we get excited, right? We're like, ooh, that means he's got a title. But I hear executive and I think responsibility. Talk to me about this responsibility that you've been preparing your whole life for, even though you didn't realize and recognize that the preparation was in all of the stuff.
Absolutely. So, I'm often reminded of the story of Joseph, right?
Man, stop.
uh,
You ain't finna compare yourself to Joseph. Nah, hit that horn.
okay,
That
David.
wah, wah, wah. Nah, that's the one I want. Did you just put you and Joseph and then you and David in the same category, Clutch? Come on. All right. You've been reminded. So, ladies and gentlemen, the thoughts of Marcus J. Scott do not reflect the thoughts or the positioning of God himself of Marcus J. Scott. Come on, man. So, story of Joseph. Talk to me.
So, oftentimes, we foresee ourselves, down the line what we're gonna do, but what we don't see is the preparation to get there. And
Don't want that
sometimes
part.
and sometimes the preparation to get there is not so pleasant. And so again, going back to the story of Joseph, before he got to what his dream looked like in the beginning, he had to go to the pit. He had to be put into slavery. He had to go to prison. All these things happened before he actually got to the palace. And so when I think about a lot of the things that I went through, to include legal matters, which is in the book, The Drunken Preacher. If you don't have it, it's sold in all stores.
I thought you meant some new stuff, Shad. I said, hold on, Clutch. We got new legal. We talking about old stuff.
See,
wait. Is this in the original version of The Drunken Preacher or 2.0? Because I know, it ain't no updated revision.
No, this ain't no update. This ain't no update. No other legal matters. New legal matters.
No new litigation has been brought forth against the executive pastor, Marcus J. Scott. Look, we start talking about the church and say separation of church and state, but then like, nah, man, the state coming after the church because Clutch up there acting up. We just got to make sure, man.
Right. So, but going through those things, prepared me to include a lot of the stuff in my my professional life as it relates to business ownership, real estate, the things that I did with the cleaning service. And so I realized it all prepared me for such a time as this, to include, I find myself doing a lot of stuff, even in the video and videography world, because I was on television, some years back, which you always try to clown me about. Just learning a lot, going through all of those things has prepared me for such a time as this. And, you don't see those things when you're going through it, right? You're like, man, why did that fail? Why did it go that way? Before I was like, man, I was supposed to blow up in TV, or, I was supposed to go down this path, down here, and didn't quite work out that way. Yet I'm using a lot of the tools and things that I acquired doing that road trip, doing that preparation, as we would call it, to use in this season.
All right. So I want to know, how do you get to the point where you fully accept and surrender? Because in The Drunken Preacher, you talk about not only where you like, nah, this ain't for me, but I am going to not say. So since we're talking about biblical characters, now Jonah comes to mind. You want to talk about Joseph? What about, so Marcus J might stand for Marcus Jonah Scott? He was like, Lord, I know which direction you're telling me to go, but I'm not going to Nineveh. I'm going the opposite direction. So how do you go from Jonah to Joseph.
So in the words of the late Fred G. Sanford, Marcus J. Scott, and the J stands for Jonah, who ran before he
Before he answered the call, he said, "Hey, he got us there after all."
And so there is a chapter in the book called Jonah and the Whale. And so with that said, I did run. You know, I was called at 19. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I called my mom all excited. I say, "Mom, guess what?" She was like, "You was called to ministry." I was like, "Huh? What?" You know? And from shortly after that is when, you know, things happened. I was stationed out in Texas. And shortly after that, I mean, that's when I started running. And it wasn't until a few years ago when God finally caught me as I related to Jonah and the whale in my legal issues where I was confined. Like I literally was confined. I couldn't move without permission. I couldn't go across state lines without permission. There's a lot of things that I couldn't do.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, when he says confined, he is not talking about in a 6x9 or 5x8. Let's just be clear. You say confined, and so listen. I know our people. I know my audience, right? They like, man, the drunken preacher, clutch, confined. Oh my gosh, man, where you did your time, man, Shawty? So when you say you served, you know, when I served in Texas, like, hold on, you served what? You served your time in Texas? I know how we think, because that's how I think. And I am my audience, Clutch.
So, in fact, I did serve time. I did one full day in Polk County.
Hey, so check this out, right? How crazy is it in life? You get to the point where you look back and the thing that used to have power to shame us and make us afraid, and now it's this thing like, man, we laugh at it because God knew. Right. And we laugh at it because without that, who knows what we don't do or what routes we continue to take. But because we've learned from an experience, we can now use that and leverage that in a positive way.
Absolutely. And here it goes back to how we need to focus on what God would have us to do. And so God said, I needed to write the book. God said, I needed to share the story. Why? Because it would help somebody else. And so, you know, as well as I do, when we do things, we have this one particular thought in mind of who the story or who the testimony is going to touch. And then when it touches somebody outside of that realm, you know, it's like, whoa, okay, God, so I see what you did there. That it wasn't what I thought, it was what you had, right? Which is much larger than what we think. And so that's why he says his ways are not our ways. And then I believe that's sometimes why the obedience is important, because we have this focus of this is how it ought to be, but God is looking at a much bigger picture. And so, you know, there have been people who have been touched or for lack of a better term, have shifted or changed their thought process based on me sharing my story. And
Ladies
so,
and gentlemen, I do want to say here that even though he is an executive pastor, when he says that people have been touched by him, it does not mean that they have been physically touched by him. These are not the thoughts or the views. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Y'all don't take me seriously. Y'all have to know me and Clutch's relationship. Don't y'all? Now, I do want to say, Clutch, would you please give them your email address, phone number, text message so that they can file all complaints to Marcus J. Scott, because I'm not going to hear them, even though this is my podcast. Okay, so Clutch, you mentioned that you served. Go ahead and station. Tell us where you served, sir.
So I was in San Antonio, Texas for some years, originally at Kelly Air Force Base, then moved to Lackland Air Force Base. Did a big component at the Air Intelligence Agency there.
Okay,
And
hold
so,
on. And ladies and gentlemen, he was in the Air Force, and I don't want that to be
yes.
taken, just people to assume. And when he said he had a big part, you all know how the U.S. Postal Service has airmail. This is what clutches. And so a part of the Air Force, his responsibility was making sure that you had on-time deliveries, man. Clutch, what role? So one, are you able to tell us what you did or not?
Yeah. So my primary duty was security forces, which if we were on base that consisted of law enforcement duties and also security for whatever the asset was. I'll say it like that because the asset could have been a plane, and when I say the Air Intelligence Agency, so that particular location was some of where they did the logistics for certain things. And when I
Oh,
say
so
certain
so so you
things,
say certain things, that mean that you can't tell us what those certain things are.
yeah, and so we provided for security for that, and so that would be considered a priority two. And just to kind of let your people know what that means, a priority
Hey,
one.
no, let me know. Forget them. I'm over here. I'm your homeboy. I'm like, bro, you talking all this code? I need to know. Somebody say priority two.
Yeah, priority two is pretty high. The next level up, which is a priority one, is nukes and stuff like president. So,
Hold on,
um,
wait. So you were like Day, like of the world, like top flight of the world, Craig. Like your stuff was shaking around you.
yeah, yeah. So, and so you had to have a top secret clearance to be in those areas and around those areas. So,
Are you telling me you were G14, G19 classified clutch?
yes, sir.
Oh, come
Absolutely.
on, man. Hey, man, I tell people I know a guy. Now, I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
So one of my friends, he was talking. Well, one of my wife's friends. I'm just friends by association.
Mhm.
Uh, he was talking about some government clearance that he had up to about 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And so he still can't travel abroad for I think another like 4 or 5 years to certain countries because of the information that he knew and what he was working on. Were those restrictions placed on you as well, where you couldn't go certain places while you were either there or after you left?
No, because the thing is, while you have certain clearances and things of that nature, the movie says it, but it is actually true. It really is on a need to know, right? And so just because you have a top secret clearance doesn't mean they could just come tell you everything or that you could see everything. And so there are certain things and jobs and people and positions where they might have had the same clearance as I did, but they had maybe a higher level in a sense of a need to know. And so that could have been on a specific mission, that could have been on specific duties. And so while the top secret clearance covers a broad range of things, certain departments, certain areas, certain jobs, they may have more information. And so a prime example, if I were, let's say, a SEAL or in a particular, Delta Force type of thing, they go and they're read into certain briefings based on their missions. And so I may not be privy to that, even though I have the clearance to be.
Okay. So really quickly, you talk about need to know. Are there times when you were like, I hope I don't need to know? Right? Like there's some stuff sort of like being the executive pastor, right? You're like,
Hmm.
they're like, hey, you need to know. You're like, I hope I don't need to know. There's a lot of stuff I don't want because with knowledge comes responsibility, right?
Correct.
With information comes now this accountability piece where not saying that you weren't carrying a weight and responsibility at the church before, but now with that knowledge and the information and the title, now they're like, oh, Rev, so let me ask, what do they call you?
Right now, I just been
Oh,
saying Pastor Marcus. And
okay.
one of the main reasons is because my dad, who's the senior pastor, is also named as Scott. They call him Bishop Scott. Some people still call him Pastor Scott. And so not to get the two confused, I just say Pastor Marcus. The other thing too is it makes me feel older if I say it Pastor Scott because I would feel like that's my dad and not me. With
So
that said,
wait. But I mean, you're young.
mhm,
You're young.
I am.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you know that I'm speaking life into life. That all right. So what is it like, right? So how long have you been at the church?
Well, let me go back to your last question that you were talking
Okay.
about, as far as have I ever not wanted to know? In the military, it really didn't matter. From the church's perspective, sometimes I do feel like that in the executive pastor role. But to your point on the need to know, things do change with the position. So it's similar, right? Where somebody may not confide in me as a lay person or the preacher's son, or, I was in the media department where I still am, but, in the media department as opposed to being the executive pastor. And so I've had, my first one or two sessions where someone was like, "Hey, Pastor, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Uh-oh, okay, here go the first one." And, and so, when people tell you things, it's similar to, like, again, going back to the military. There's a certain level of responsibility that not only from that person, but ultimately God, that person has confided in me to not share the information, to not, tell individuals so that people can be comfortable in coming to me with their feelings, their thoughts, those sort of things. And that can be a weight, but at the same time, that's why us as pastors and leaders have to lean on God, because there's another level of accountability with the information that could be provided to you.
Yeah. Okay, so now that's where I want to go into. So how many years have you been at the church?
Total.
Mm-hmm.
So my father took over as senior pastor in 1980. So that's how long I've been technically a part of the church.
Okay. So how is it now being the executive pastor? Because we've had members there for the entire time that you've been there. They've seen, what did they call you? Little Marcus, baby, sweetie, right?
So yeah, so it's crazy because all the older members who have seen me and watched me grow up actually are the first people to call me pastor.
Really? And
Yeah,
so
and
so
so
so that's unusual though. A lot of times there'll be that reluctance because they're like, man, we know that we know the one that's from the book. We know him. We the one that ran Jonah. We know Jonah Scott. We don't know Joseph Scott,
yeah,
right?
right, right. And so um, it's crazy because I was at a function a few days ago. Shout out to the NARAD Book Club that featured my book, and here I am. Here I am speaking to them. And they were asking me, they were like, "Well, how, because church people, boy, they hard, they hard." And so I was telling them, well, when I came out with the book, my focus at that time was, an audience of one. As long as I'm pleasing God, nothing else mattered. And then afterwards, I had a friend of mine who happened to be there and said, "You didn't share though, because a lot of people in the congregation actually supported you." And I said, that's actually true. Because a lot of the members have supported me, while there may be a few that talk behind my back. For the most part, they have supported me. And a lot of them, and here's what I do really appreciate, a lot of them truly see the transformation and what God has done in my life. And they acknowledge that. And
They know they
that,
know there's got to be a God because Clutch is different.
yes,
They said, if you don't believe this,
yes,
I ain't got to
yeah.
talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You see this guy right here?
Right, right. And so I think it's been a positive, right? Because we still have members in the church. These people, some of the same people that I'm talking about, they have family members that I grew up with that have not come back to church, that are still, out in what we would consider the world, or, just not acknowledging God as that the family would want them to. And so for them to see me now through transformation, to them it says, which I've had a few people say it, I know it's still hope for my son. I know it's still hope for my nephew. I know it's still
Boy,
hope
if there
for,
if he could do something with that rascal right there, with that one, with the worst of them, man, let me tell you, that guy, if he
Yeah.
can come to Christ, if he can be transformed, my don't take this wrong way, Rev, but my child ain't nearly as bad as you were. Right. So talk about this real quick, Clutch. And it's one of the things that, my wife and I, we have conversations about, and then some close friends of mine, which is, since you're outside of that close friend group, I want to make sure this is not talking about anything that you do. Um, the
Yeah,
the
ladies and gentlemen.
the idea of people want to see a healing, they want a miracle, but they want to be the one giving the blessing. They don't want to be the one that's in the position of needing the miracle on them, right? So if they find themselves in that situation where they're in the pit or they're on the ship and they know they're the problem, they are not saying, all right, God, do something miraculous through me, right? Or to me. They were like, all right, let me be the blessing. Don't let me be the one that's in the need of a blessing. How have you taken that and really led with that from the story, from the book, from the example to now being in an executive leadership position?
I tend to do a lot of inner reflection first, right? To say, what can I do better? And I think that had a lot to do with my upbringing and my father. I would always I would do something and I would think it would be great or good, right? And it probably was. But he would say, "Well, yeah, you could have done better." You know, or yeah, if you'd have did this, that would have been better. Or he would ask, "Well, what could you have done better?" And so that always gave me this internal flexion of, what could I have done better? With that said, um, my prayer is always for God to use me, right? But I got to start with me. I can't be telling other people and trying to bless other people, and I don't have me together. There's a story in the book, John Maxwell 16 Laws of Communication, I believe it is, John Maxwell book. And he says in there that there was a lady who brought her son to Gandhi and said, "Hey, could you tell my son not to eat sugar?" And Gandhi goes, "Come back in 3 days." And she comes back in 3 days and says, "Can you tell him not to eat sugar?" And he's like, "Don't eat sugar." And then she was like, "Okay." She was like, "Well, what was the 3 days for? Was there something special about the 3 days?" He said, "3 days ago, I was eating sugar." So I couldn't tell him
I can't
not to
tell
eat
who's so
sugar.
guilty.
And so to your point, we have to make sure we're good. We talk about we want the blessing, we want to be the blesser, but are we following what God wants us to do? Are we the ones being obedient? Are we doing what the word says? And so I think we have to start looking inward first, and that's constant because I don't believe we will ever reach the pinnacle, right? Um, Paul says, oh man, I just forgot the scripture, but he keeps telling us to run our race. Forget those things which are behind, and he also says those things that I don't want to do, I find
Is what I
myself
find
doing.
myself doing. I'm trying to stay
And-
away from the ditch, and I just keep going straight to the ditch. I don't know why that is. Like, nah, stay between the lines. I'm trying.
Right.
That's why you need to let God take the wheel, because I'm gonna drive myself right into a brick wall over here, being a
Yeah,
knucklehead.
man. So I'm constantly looking at me.
Okay, so now we've talked about all of the well, not just positive sides, but you walking into this new direction, this new role responsibility. But we know that when you say yes to one thing, you have to say no to something else,
Mm.
right? So you're saying yes to walking this God path. We've had to say no to some business stuff. We had to say no to some leadership things inside of real estate, maybe some things that might have a bigger financial upside than being an executive pastor. Yay, right? How do you, and besides okay, we know this is where God has you going. What does that decision making process look like when this is going to impact you and your family, the misses and the resources, and then maybe the climb up in like the realtor organization, for example, or franchises and all that? How do you go about that process?
So I'm still learning how to truly lean on God through that process, right? Because the flesh still wants what's comfortable. So, somebody said right now, "Hey man, we heard about you in this book, we about to blow it up. We're gonna give you $1 million, up front on this book tour, and we're gonna get you to the New York Times bestseller." That's something that I'd be like, "Well, God, is this a door that's opening?" I'm trying.
This sure look like a blessing, Lord. Like, but God, won't He do it? Won't He
Right.
do it?
And so when I say I'm still working, because I've asked myself, hey, what if something happens that's that open, and it truly will like completely change things, right? Um, and so I believe he allows us. Well, first the word says he'll never put more on us than we can bear, right? And I believe he's starting me out with some small stuff. And so you talk about the realtor organization and things like that. I believe that he's giving me those things where I won't necessarily say it's easy, but when I say, okay, I've been asked to do some things and I'm like, I'm gonna have to, turn that down this go round. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, that could benefit me, but this is more important right now. And it's not the immediate financial impact. It's not the immediate, it's going to blow me up in some way, but the path going down there eventually would. And so I believe this is kind of like my training ground of exactly what you're talking about. And so I believe God allows us kind of like going through school, right? All right, you in first grade. So you need to learn this first. So in this case, you need to learn to say no to these things right here. Now it's not that big, not that. And so there are some things I've been thinking about lately that I'm like, man, if that opened up.
Hey, no. So if that opened up, you're gonna refer it to your homeboy.
Yeah, I'm like,
oh, okay, bro. I'm about to say, I'm sitting here.
Cause somebody always seemed to be about me. Oh well, them.
No, it's we.
It's we.
It's you and I, right? You and I. All right. So, Clutch, here's what I want to know, because we're rocking and rolling, having a good time. What have you learned about yourself in this process? I'm going to say the past 6 months that you've been going through. We know that, so our inner circle, we sort of laugh at you and with you. We're mostly at you because you're like, hey, man, I got this. I think it's going to happen. Wait, it didn't happen. We're like, dang, man. Yeah. So what have you learned most about yourself, I'm going to say, in the past 6 months?
That no matter what, I'm better if I lean and trust God. I lean on him.
Man, that's a church answer, Clutch. Do you mean that for real?
I do, because here's the thing. In these last 6 months, there have been times when I haven't.
Wait. Hold on. You haven't what?
That I haven't leaned and trust God.
Rev, Pastor Marcus. In 6. So you're telling me you still have it where you're like, God, I know what you've done in the past, but this one might be outside of your control. This one might be too big for you. I don't know if you got this one.
No, it's not that. It's and this is a big one for me. It's the patience.
That's a dirty word right there. We don't. Hey, in the Oates household, we don't like that word. Patience. Like, wait.
Okay, I need this, or I want this. This has to happen by this time. And God, we right here. We at the deadline. The lights might get cut off. The lights.
Don't play with me, Clutch.
Like, Lord, listen. I'm just this one time. I'm gonna go on.
Clutch, I'm talking about to you where you at the point where you like, God, listen, I know you an on time God. I know you are. I know you're gonna, and man, and then we find ourselves in here and be like, well, boy, I'm gonna try, because you might be busy. I know Clutch, he over there, he need a lot of help. So I'm gonna do my part over here, and I'm gonna do a little bit of your part. So I'm gonna try to figure this out and mess stuff up even worse. And then people gonna be like, oh yeah, he screwed that up. There really is a God, because he had to save Marcus from himself. That patience part. So when do we stop having the challenges of needing patience?
Here's what's crazy. So you talk about this 6 months. Here's the stuff that I'm learning. There's some stuff, Paul, God, you gonna please take it away from me. Not gonna do it. Because my grace is sufficient. So your impatient, this thing that you want me to, probably not gonna take away. So you're just gonna have to learn how to operate with your flesh wanting to be impatient and still be patient. It's kind of like
is that the best you got for us today? Is that the encouragement that you got for us today, Clutch? I just want to know.
It's kind of like, and I truly have learned to think about it in this manner. This is just the first one that comes to mind. If you have HIV or AIDS, it's possible for you to still live. You just gonna have to learn how to be on the medication and do what you're supposed to do. Or let's take diabetes or any
Yeah,
type
man,
of
let's go that one, man. Golly. Clutch. Man, of all the stuff, man, don't go, ladies and gentlemen, we ain't going with the first one. Hey, so you said HIV AIDS first, diabetes second. Why don't you just say a limp or if you got a hurt knee or something? But let's de-escalate, Rev. Come on, Pastor.
there are some things that are going to be a part of us that God is not going to remove, and we're going to have to learn how to live with it. We're going to have to learn how to take the medication. We're going to have to learn how to eat right. We're going to have to learn how to exercise in order to stay. What is that from a spiritual standpoint? Taking the medication, reading the word, spending time with God, exercising the discipline of spending time with God. You know, if we relate it to our actual bodies, you're going to have to do those things to not have the high blood pressure, or because your family history says you're more prone to have it, you got to do certain things for it not to escalate or to spike or to, you know, impact you. Well, same with being patient, or with us, impatient, wanting it in our timing. Same thing with a lot of things as relates to our flesh. And so that's one of the things that I've learned in this last 6 months, that God said, yep, I just need you to be more disciplined. I just need you to focus on me more. I just need you to be more patient.
All
I
right,
just
now,
need you to let me take care of the stuff.
hold on. So the next time we have this conversation, it'd probably be 6 months from now because we are not going to speak that frequently, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, you won't be saying the same thing in 6 months that you're saying today.
About what?
That you still need like patience. That you're still learning that you need to be patient.
So I've always had an issue with wanting things now. I've gotten better even recently about how to handle my flesh wants it now, but is now the right time.
Now, do you also think that? So I know it sounds like impatience is a bad thing, but do you also think that's a part of that entrepreneurial spirit, that ambition that you have, that thing that God put in you to want more, to want bigger, better, further, faster?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is part of the ambition. And so I don't want to necessarily use the word balance as much as I do, in control, or God is in control. And so, I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm actually, this is the thing.
Hold
I
on,
really don't want to
wait, stop. Now hold on. If don't give me your first thought. Dude, like the HIV, AIDS, and diabetes. Hey, man, we can remove. We can pause. We can edit. If you need to get to your third or 13th thought, Clutch, bruh, you scared us, man.
So no, what I was gonna say was I have a thought that, because I want to come out with a theme next year, because God gave this to me in a week I was fasting and doing some stuff, and
I
it,
like the
it,
way
it
you be dropping these spiritual hints. Like God spoke to me while I was fasting. Like, bruh, come on, you be doing all this stuff to sound all spiritual. I'd be like, man, we were just together. What week were you fasting? Cause we were just together and you were not fasting when we were together.
see you man looks at the outward.
Ooh,
God
look at
looks
it.
at
God look at the heart. Like,
See?
man looks at the outside. God look at the heart. Now, you do know people gonna say, man, I do not know how these two are God-fearing men. I don't know how that is God's favorite and Clutch on the same podcast. But like, hey, and so remember, I go back to, and I'm gonna let you finish like Kanye. But I go back to how Steve Harvey, in his thing at Woman Thou Art Loose or Manpower, I don't know which comedy thing he was doing. He was like, I might act like I don't know God, and then he goes like this. He got all that gold jewelry on. He said, but it sure looked like God know me. And I said, ooh. I said, man, we might act like we don't know God, but you look at how he blessing us. Be like, oh, God know those two knuckleheads. Don't forget, I'm just saying, God ran with Peter, right? He had Peter rolling with him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so go ahead, Clutch. So you talked about God spoken to you while you were fasting, not the time that we were together, though.
Yeah, and so he dropped in my spirit the real estate. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. The real estate. And so the real being what's actually factual, and a state someone who has ownership of. And so the real estate is God owns everything. We are just stewards of it. And so he's teaching me that no matter what it is, no matter what it is, to include my life and my time. I have to be a good steward of the time that he gives me. He owns the time that I live on earth. He owns all the stuff, the money, the house, the time, the resources, everything. It's up to us to be a good steward of that. And so with that said, if I focus on this is all God's, come on, Joseph, and he owns it all. He just got me here to be the steward and manage his stuff.
Hold on. So, Clutch, right now on the other side of that, because I do want to get your opinion on this pastor, Reverend Deacon Dr. Bishop Jr., Lil Bishop. I'm calling you Lil Bishop. And ladies and gentlemen, I am not trying to be disrespectful of the titles. I'm being disrespectful to Clutch. Okay, so it's totally different. So my question to you is, if you say God owns it all, are you looking for a button to push? Don't be pushing no buttons. Okay.
No. I didn't want to cough all loud in the mic, so I just muted for a second.
So when you say God is all God's, does that also mean that the pain, the frustration, the doubt, the fear, every negative side, the worries, are we, like you're saying that we're supposed to be good stewards over the good stuff and everything that God has? What are we supposed to do with all this hurt and the anger? Like, is that God's as well that we have to be good stewards over?
Yes and no. So, like, God doesn't necessarily own like our emotions, right? And so we're allowed to have emotions. And I suspect God understands and knows that, because there's a couple times in the Bible where both God and Jesus got angry. That's an emotion. So, so
y'all Negroes are done. All of y'all. All of them. Be like, who we gonna get rid of? All of them. All of them? All of them.
Well, Lord,
everybody?
what if there's
what if I could find 1,530?
Right.
One.
And so we're allowed to have them, but we got to manage them, right? We're allowed to have the emotion, but he wants us to be able to manage them. And so, and then as far as, the things that come on us that may allow us to have those emotions, we do have to recognize and realize that he allows those things to happen for whatever reason, whether it's to test us, whether it's to make us stronger, whether it's because, again, there's a bigger picture that we don't see. He
maybe
allows
someone else is going to benefit from us going through this thing to see it. Yeah.
Correct. So that's another thing that I've learned, that, man, the stuff that I went through wasn't just for me. It wasn't. And
so real quick, Clutch, that makes me think. And so one of my guys said, God is undefeated. And you're like, man, that dude, he 1,000, like, ain't lost yet. And you're like, man, and I'm trying to take this stuff from him. and I might be batting 100.
Right. Right. And again, it just goes back to what we want, how we want it, and when we want it. And we don't see, you know, so most people say, man, we playing checkers, they playing chess. I would argue God is playing a game that we don't even know about yet that's much further than chess.
He's playing chess-a-wreckers. So first of all, don't laugh at him. All right, Clutch, man. So first, ladies and gentlemen, we are way too long into this conversation. We're not going to call it an interview because it's just two guys chatting. But I do have one more question that I want to ask of you, Marcus J. Scott, Mr. Clutch, Mr. Marcus J., Reverend Bishop, Little Bishop, Deacon, Doctor, Pastor, all this stuff. But before we go there, give the people, how can they follow what you're doing? Where can we go? Where can we see if we want more of you?
So you can follow me on all the social media platforms, Marcus J. Scott. My website is marcusjscott.com. My YouTube channel is Marcus J. Scott 4040. You also share, subscribe, and like. If you go to the website, you can get to any of those other platforms. So it's just simply my name, marcusjscott.com.
MarcusJScott.com is the hub for all things Mr. Marcus J. Little Bishop, Pastor, Reverend Deacon Dr. Scott. All right, so we've had some conversation. What I want to ask you is, what's next? Hey,
So-
whoa, hey, bro, why you breathing so heavy into your mic, man? He like, man, Sean, I'm trying to get through the day with the help of the Lord Jesus Christ. You talking about what's next?
So one of the first things we talked about when we first started talking was how God uses the things that we go through and that we learn and all those things. For now, there's two major things that I believe that God is getting ready to open up a door to. One is
Now,
believe God
I
is
do want to make sure. Are you legally allowed to talk about whatever this is? Don't be getting in trouble. Don't be breaking no confidentiality, all that stuff. Bishop Scott, you heard me tell your son, your executive pastor, don't be talking about no church business in here that we ain't supposed to know about yet.
I believe God is getting ready to open up the door to allow me to help churches do development with land that they have. Being, with my real estate background and then some things that I've just been learning in most recent history on developments and things of that nature is to basically help to build the kingdom. And that's the other thing. I always think, okay, God, you had me learn this. And so now the question is, how do I use it to build up your kingdom?
Because
And
nothing is lost or wasted, right?
Correct. And so one of the things that I believe he has me doing is to help churches and I was gonna say figure out a way, but he already know the way. It's just to help me have the wisdom to show them the way on how to use the land that they have in order to develop.
Ladies and gentlemen, so what Marx is talking about, many churches, many organizations, they do have available land that is underutilized. And so
Correct.
we don't want to just have land sitting there, we're just parking cars in a grass lot. Right. And so what Marx is talking about, we often talk about highest and best use. And there are a lot of creative ways to do that can then bring resources back to God's kingdom. And that's so exciting, especially when we have now that does require some outside of traditional thinking, right? It requires some people who might have held on to responsibility or titles too closely to free up some of that. So I'm going to ask you all, even before we get to the next part, you said there are two things. Make sure you all are praying for Marcus. Make sure you all are praying for the leadership. But because anytime we want to do something that is kingdom oriented, we know that the enemy has to do his job. That's what he's here for. And sometimes he might use those that are closest to us to just be a hurdle or an obstacle. And so when I hear you talk about that, I get excited simply because, man, what kind of win does that look like, right? What kind of victory does it say? We've taken this thing that is on what they would say carnal or secular, and we've used that to leverage and to show the goodness of God our Father, man. So I'm excited about that. So we'll be praying for you there, Clutch.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate it. And, I know this not quite the end, but words can't express how much you mean to me and how you've helped me through, tough times, man. Both with tough love and true friendship and laughter. So,
Man,
um,
first of all, I
man,
don't
no,
love you. First of all, I don't love you. It's just been tough. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I'm a gangster. I'm a thug. You can see, I don't even smile. You know what I'm saying? I don't play the radio. So good stuff there. All right. So one, development. God is going to use you to help churches develop, help them in the process, bring resources, utilize some land that they have. Other thing, what's next?
Both speaking and writing. And so, one who hated school, I find myself.
God is real, ladies and gentlemen. You know the little illiterate boy that had chicken scratch. He writing and speaking now. He used to stutter.
Yeah, just to be able to speak and write, in the process now of working with TBN, the Christian Network, to republish the Drunken Preacher, and at the same time, finishing up a second book called From Setbacks to Success, more so focused on the reality of, how to, when you start a business or you're talking about entrepreneurship or you focus on one thing and then it completely fails and bombs, um, how do you come back from that and start over and keep moving, and move forward and become successful? And so, just those two things, I believe God is getting ready to open up a door. I just signed a contract where.
Whoa! Hold on now. Has the ink dried before you say anything? Has the ink dried?
Yes.
And did you put me in as a benefactor or beneficiary? No.
Speaking of which, I'll be in Miami in a couple weeks. So I signed a contract where I'm gonna be speaking at DJJ schools around the state of Florida, and so we'll be in Jacksonville next Monday, I believe. And so God has just been opening up doors, and it's just been a blessing. I sometimes it's just when I do think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I remember calling you one day like, man, I don't know if I could do this. And I was talking about real estate and everything else, like, man, I just, and
I'm glad you said that, boy. Clutch, like, hey, bro, I'm done. What did you just finish? Marcus, what did you? Nah, Negro, I'm done. Well, done, man, I'm done. And I'm like, wait, hold on. All right, big fella, let's talk this through now. Why? Because I don't feel like doing. Because you don't feel like it. Oh, I thought we had real problems. Man, Clutch, guess what? Don't nobody care about your feelings. Don't nobody care about my feelings. There are things that we have to do. Freemo always talks about some people's lives are meant to be great. Some people's lives are meant to be easy. Great people's lives aren't easy. Easy people's lives aren't great, right? And so that's when.
Good.
Oh yeah, well I mean Freemo said it, but he ain't here. Freemo ain't necessarily here right now.
I don't have
so
a money book next to me, but
boy, no, it's okay. I'll make sure I send it to you. So good stuff there, Clutch. And so as you do these undertakings, how are you feeling about what you're seeing and what you're doing to get there?
So I'm gonna be honest, I'm nervous. Here's why I'm nervous. I'm nervous because it seems both in the Bible and in everyday life, God is ready to use you.
What happened?
There's a hurt. There's something around the corner to try to stop you.
We gonna see if you really want this thing. I didn't ask for this, sir. He told me. So check this out. Hold on. Marcus Job Scott. Marcus Job Scott is just in here minding his own business. God and Satan having a conversation. Marcus Job Scott minding his own business. I'm over here just doing well. I'm being obedient. Man, God, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Man, you know what? Man, I can make anybody fail. Well, who's minding their own business? Marcus Job Scott. Have you considered him? God, I'm doing what's right. Why you
Listen, listen. Me, my brother, and my sister got this joke when stuff happened. Like, man, what you doing? You supposed to? Yeah, I was doing. Man, God and the devil, they up there playing cards again, man.
I'll see you a kneel and I raise you a clutch. Finna make the whole crew fall. Free-mo, boom, Free-mo too. What, Jerome? Like, whoa, bro, relax, calm down, man.
Man, yeah, man, it's like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. You said the.
Hey, and then we start speaking through the word. We start praying through the word. Look, God, you said I could call you and you would answer. Yeah, but I had to give you a reason to call me. Nah, God, I just call you in the morning just to say thank you. Nah, I need you to need me. Look, God, I need you. Nah, I need when I'm the only option you got. Like when that own understanding, when you have that own understanding ain't enough.
Yes,
man,
sir.
Come on, man. Listen, see, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I said we don't know what we're going to talk about, but we got a lot to talk about. We're almost an hour into this thing, so we're going to leave because I know otherwise Clutch and I would sit here and have these conversations, and he probably has some executive pastor duties that he needs to handle today. So here's what I want to know. What is something that you want people, if they've listened to us for this long, give me something that you want them to walk away with today, Clutch.
That if you're still breathing, you still have a purpose. If you woke up this morning, God has a purpose for you. And so never think that you weren't put here for a purpose, a significant purpose. And so a lot of times we think it has to be huge or a lot of money involved or houses and land. But your purpose could be to change the person's life who's going to change the world. And so we have to wake up every morning with, God, what's my assignment? God, what's my purpose? And so if we keep that in mind, I think that'll be the start of how we can move forward.
Man, I tell you what, man, Clutch, come on, man. That right there. Hey, so I'm not saying you be listening to Tupac.
Hold on, it just came to me. It just came to me, and I got to say this because I got it from my dad. He says it this way: if you still have a pulse, you still have a purpose.
Boy, listen, you know what, man, we don't. Man, give it up for Bishop Scott, man, and I'm glad you gave accreditation to the right one. So, ladies and gentlemen, Marcus J. Scott, thank you, man, for hanging out with us. And so this happened as a result of us just having a conversation on the phone, but we ain't real friends like that. We don't talk like that. People, I'd be having to get on his calendar now, and I've got to go through. Man, his phone number ain't his phone number no more. It's the phone number for his assistant now. And I said, I'm like, yo, Clutch. I said, excuse me, this is Pastor Marcus's office. I said, You ever call somebody and then you had to look at their phone and be like, it's the same. I got one number. Yeah, I was trying to reach Clutch. Yes, Pastor Marcus is. I said, oh, my bad. I'll just try his other cell. She said, you'll get me here too. I said, ooh. I said, man, my dog he got gatekeepers now. I had to send his assistant a little box of Ferrero Rochers, and now little did I know that she was diabetic, and now I done had her. Nah, man, these are all jokes. These are jokes. Clutch, man, I want to tell you I appreciate you. I love you, man. This has been a heck of a time here. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to marcusjscott.com, tap in, lock in with everything that Marcus has going on. Continue to pray for him. Continue to pray for. Give us the name of the church so we can pray for the church.
34th Street Church of God.
34th Street Church of God. Now, hey, so we throw them 3 folds up. Y'all know what it is.
Fold, baby.
Hey, whoa. See, listen, man, he ain't that far. Remember, he is a drunken preacher now. But now, oh, Jesus, Shamana. Okay, never mind. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out here with us on Beyond the Velvet Rope. Thank you, Marcus J. Scott. Go to marcusjscott.com. Check out everything he's doing. We're going to leave you like we always do. It says, we love you. God love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time we see you or you see us, don't be average. Be world renowned. Peace.